Remember when I used to read books? Yeah, that was fun. Okay, so I'm working my way through a pretty big series right now. You might have guessed. But until I've finished it, you'll have to put up with some of my weirdness for a little longer. So, without further ado, I recently played a video game for the first time, the game The Wolf Among Us. I say recently, but I'll have you know that at the time of this recording, I am currently in the middle of a second playthrough uh, because it's great and I love it. So, The Wolf Among Us is based on the brilliant comic series by Bill Willingham. The game was adapted as a prequel set in the I think it's sort of the 80s, somewhere around there. But the basic premise of the series as a whole is that you have these fairy tale characters that are real. They're called fables, and they are mostly immortal, barring the most relentless, grievous onslaught. Right, um, and they've all moved to New York, for the most part, where they have formed this magical community for themselves. They govern themselves. They hide their existence from the humans, who they call Mundies, which I'm told is different than the word Muggle. But I digress. Uh, a lot has happened since the fairy tales that we know. For starters, the mayor of Fabletown is actually Old King Cole. You know, the merry old soul, who is mysteriously away, uh, leaving rule of the city to the deputy mayor, Ichabod Mother effing Crane, uh, of the Sleepy Hollow legend, who is as incompetent as he is, well, incompetent. Uh, he's this skeevy, lustful egomaniac who I despise. Um, I don't know why, but I always appreciate a good character assassination, um, as well as what this is, which is not a character assassination because he's almost exactly like the character in the original story, which is to say, a piece of crap. Uh, Nevertheless, we've also got Snow White working as his assistant, along with an alcoholic flying monkey who I love. Uh, and of course, we've got the sheriff, uh, otherwise known as the player character, Bigby Wolf, the big bad wolf. Bigby, for the record, is awesome. He's a great character. I know the premise is that you're supposed to be playing him. It's the conceit of the game. You're playing Bigby. You're putting words in his mouth and you're deciding what he does in any given time. But it's a Telltale game, and there's not as much choice as you'd expect. There's not a lot of room to change the story they've laid out for you, but it's a good story is the thing, so it kind of works. Um, uh, Bigby is this angry, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine esque, grumbling, gritty old sheriff, right? He's trying to get his recklessness and his violent tendencies under control. The game starts with him getting into a fight with his old enemy, the Woodsman, who has turned into a drunk and a cheat, and is just really upset that nobody remembers the Woodsman at all. Nobody remembers me, but everyone remembers the big bad wolf. Uh, so Woody, the woodsman, is found beating up a prostitute, and Bigby rushes in and starts beating on him, and they both go out a window. Woody tries to strangle Bigby, tries to get him to turn into his old self, right? The actual wolf monster, which Bigby's able to hide, uh, uh, as a general rule. Uh, but before Bigby turns, the prostitute ends up putting an axe in the back of Woody's head. Uh, but Woody survives. because he's a fable, and it would take like consistent magical punishment to actually bring him down for good. Uh, Bigby kind of has a cute interaction with the lady, who turns out to be some sort of princess fallen on hard times, but he can't really get her to tell him anything really. Uh, he asks who she is, who she works for, and all she says is, "These lips are sealed." It's magic, baby. Uh, then she turns up dead a few hours later, her severed head on the doorstep of the Woodlands apartment building where all the important fables live, and also Ichabod Crane. Uh, we're supposed to assume it was the woodsman who did the killing, because we just had a fight with the woodsman. But I'm a veteran of mystery stories, and I know better. It wouldn't be the first guy you suspect. We're given the option to suggest someone. So I suggested her pimp, because she mentioned money troubles, and that would be the logical thing to go to. Now, I don't think, spoiler alert, I don't think I was actually too far from the mark. It's a little more nuanced than that, but uh, I might have been close to being right for the wrong reasons. Not to brag or anything, but um, anyway, during the investigation, we're introduced to Snow White, right? Who is a cool and tough businessy lady, who Bigby sort of has a crush on, and they sort of get on well, working together to investigate this murder. In any case, they discover that the woman who was killed uh, was the donkey skin girl from the story about the donkey skin. She's the girl who wears a donkey skin cloak to hide her from her horrible father. Um, but she prefers to go by the name Faith, apparently. She's a surprisingly interesting character, in all honesty, for someone who's dead. Uh, a lot of nuance there as we learn more about her story. Um, her and her prince had fallen on hard times, and she left him in order to try and make money doing work that he obviously wouldn't approve of. Things obviously didn't go right for her. And her prince, Prince Lawrence, he actually tried to kill himself over how crappy everything had got. Bigby and Snow head to his place, and they find him there. And so in my first playthrough, he was actually dead when we got there. We did something else first. But in my second playthrough, I got there on time, and I was able to save him. He got the help he needed, and while we're doing that, Bigby runs into Tweedledee and Tweedledum, who are also investigating the murder, or so they claim. They jack up the place, and they jack up Bigby a little bit, and things really kick off. Right? There's this theme running throughout The Wolf Among Us of Bigby holding back. Right? He's always trying not to wolf out, and that leads to him getting beaten up a lot of the time. Uh, but it's a freaking great story. It really is, with all sorts of these twists and new information getting brought in. Just in those first few chapters, we're led on this merry chase, trying to investigate just what the heck is going on. We're later introduced to Holly the Troll, a really great character who I hated at first, and to Grindel, who Bigby has a throwdown with. Uh, then freaking one of the Tweedles walks in, and so does the Woodsman, and Bigby has to decide which one to chase. I chose the Tweedle guy, since Woody, it is revealed, he didn't even know that Faith was dead, so he couldn't have been the killer. Um, and then that first freaking episode ends with, spoiler, Snow White's head appearing on the doorstep of the Woodlands. Only it's not. It's not Snow's head. It's a fake out. Uh, it is the missing sister of Holly the Troll. Snow turns up after having done some investigating of her own, and so right, they realize, well, if Snow's here, then who's this dead girl? Well, it turns out that it was a troll who has been glamored to look not only like not a troll, but to look like Snow White, because there are a lot of weirdos in Fabletown. Um, another prostitute like Faith, uh, which, upon further investigation, leads them to, after they have kind of a heartfelt meeting with Grin and Holly about, and inform them of Holly's dead sister. Uh, their investigation leads them to a club called the Pudding and Pie, run, of course, by Georgie Porgy, uh, who sucks. Uh, this is the place where Faith worked, and so do a bunch of other fables down on their luck, such as the girl with the ribbon, the Little Mermaid, and clever Hans works as a bouncer. Uh, but Bigby learns, after some kind of tricky avoidance of that these lips are sealed spell. He learns from the Little Mermaid that there's this scummy hotel where they take clients, and that is where Lily, the troll illegally glamored to look like Snow White, had last been seen. So Bigby goes there and investigates and finds this really messed up scene, where someone had reenacted the Snow White myth, right, with the apple and the bed of flowers and the dress, and there's blood everywhere because that's where the murder happened. Uh, Bigby's just about to leave when he finds pictures of the girl glamored to look like Snow, creepy stalker photos of the actual Snow, and photos of the guy with the glamored girl, and it's Ichabod Crane. Now that's a twist, isn't it? Uh, it but it seems I'm running kind of low on time. So I'm thinking I'll make this a two-parter. I still want to talk about the rest of The Wolf Among Us. I want to talk about how much Beauty and the Beast are so wonderfully suck in this. I want to talk about the villain of Bloody Mary who comes into play in the later chapters, and about the true villain behind it all, who I've actually come to appreciate. Since you know it wasn't that weasel Ichabod who did any of the killings, right? It's Ichabod Crane, for God's sake, famous for being a coward. Um, I guess until then. Uh, by the way, at the time of this recording, there's going to be like a huge blue supermoon tonight, and I just thought that was timely. Uh, didn't really plan on it, but yeah. Bye.